Part 1E. Problems with the monetary system. One of the most insidious and not realized problems facing individuals, societies, and countries is the current monetary system. This is followed by Western countries and other countries. This is why there is purported to be 1% of the population owns 40% of the earth. This is why wars are deliberately sustained, and even most do not end in negotiation. Almost most people have heard of the Federal Reserve in the States, but not many people know what it is. Firstly, there is nothing federal about it. It is a private organization with shares mostly likely membership is secretly guarded, owned by powerful bankers. It loans money to the government with interest. New money is created to serve this debt, which again is loaned from the Federal Reserve at interest. This new money creates deflation, which debases the value of existing money. There's been a 97% devaluation since 1913. The Federal Reserve is the third central banking system in the States. Briefly, the history goes as follows. The United States declared independence from Great Britain, mainly because Great Britain would not allow the colonies to have their own currency. The first central bank was created in 1891 to 1811. The second in 1817 to 1836. There were attempts to have a central bank that charged no interest, but powerful bankers opposed this. The central bank was often opposed by chartered banks who saw the central bank as a cartel. By manipulation, the central bankers caused the population to fear that their money was in the chartered banks was in jeopardy, causing a run on the banks, which caused many to go into bankruptcy. The central bankers then could buy up the chartered banks cheaply, giving them even more control over the money supply. In 1914, President Wilson passed legislation forming the third central bank, the Federal Reserve. Many senators were bribed by powerful bankers such as Morgan, Rockefeller, Vandenberg, to pass the legislation, which in a sense passed the control of the American government over to them. The 16th Amendment was also passed to enable collection of income tax by lying that the tax had been ratified by the states, which it had not. This fraud meant that the labor of the American people could be taxed, and much of this money would end up in the bankers' pockets. Most societies use this system of debt to create money out of this debt. This in turn is a weapon to conquer and enslave societies, and interest is the prime instrument to do this. Elite bankers are the true masters, along with governments and corporations that support them. The rest of the population are essentially an economic slave to them. This practice is now being further extended with the creation of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund to gain control in other countries. This may sound too impossible to be true, but several people, including presidents, realize this. Theodore Roosevelt, the 26th U.S. president, said, "Behind the ostensible government sits enthroned an invisible government, owing no allegiance and acknowledging no responsibility to the people." John Hayden, Mayor of New York, 1868 to 1936, quote, "The real truth of the matter is that a financial element in the large centers has owned the government since the days of Andrew Jackson." Franklin D. Roosevelt, 32nd, U.S. President. The real menace of our government, the little coteries of power, international bankers virtually run the United States for their own selfish reasons. Thomas Jefferson, May 28th, 1816. The banking establishments are more dangerous than standing armies, and that the principle of spending money to be paid by posterity under the name of funding is but swindling futurity on a large scale. End of Part E.